Hi and welcome to our 30th episode. And my name is Sufyan Youssef, and I'm in conversation with the Dean and Director of Six Cricket Academy, Mr. Karthik Jashwant. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Jashwant, as you're aware, the cricketing season will start soon in Karnataka. I've been interacting with a lot of promising players, and for them, playing first division is a big thing. What's your take on this?
It's a good question, and I'm very happy to know that it's our 30th episode. That means people are following us, and there is some value we are giving to the people who matter. Coming back to the question, Sufi, it is, see, why does someone play the game? Well, obviously, they want to scale up. First division is a big thing in Karnataka cricket if we just look into just Karnataka cricket. Of course, other states also have these divisions, and obviously, everybody wants to scale up. Now, I will ask a few things, because I want to answer this for the player and also the parent. Now, handholding of the parents are getting too much. The parents are getting too involved with, which division does he play, which club does he play, how is the secretary involved with the association of that club, and how is the coach involved towards the selectors? Is any selector aligned with that club? Or all these small things which of course matter to some ordinary players. Let me emphasize that word as ordinary players. For a good player, nothing matters. If you're a good player, you just go bulldoze your way and make it big, and that is the only way going forward. This is for the player as such. Now, coming to the parent, you are actually inculcating a very wrong habit into your child by asking him or her to take the shortcut, which is a certain no-no in a sport. And if you want to excel in sport, it's two things. After a certain level, it is courage and character. So one is by telling your son or daughter to align with somebody who is close to the association, or like I told you, that's not a good thing, because you're making a habit for him where he or she will be continuing to look for shortcuts. And I don't think that is proper growth for the child in itself, and the larger picture of why should you play sport. If you're not going to contribute positively for the society, why do you do it? And I'm asking the question to the parent now: aren't the parents playing a role, playing a role to curb the character of the child? So there are enough and more people. I call them as the schemers. Some turn up as club secretaries, some turn up as selectors, some turn up as coaches. These guys, they go to the extent of even threatening, saying that, I will see that your career is over. Now, I don't blame the parent here, because they come from a different background where the
lack of
knowledge of the particular sports system and all that. They may feel that, okay, my son is putting so much of effort, my family is spending so much time and energy on this guy's growth, and if there is a way out, I think in the feeling of making good, they don't know what they're getting into. But now I'm addressing the player. Boss, if you are not in a position to tell your coaches or selectors or whoever it is that my performance will bail me through, because let me tell you, that is the only thing which will bail you through when you're in the center. When you're in the center, no parent, no coach can help you, because the decision making happens with you. You take a good decision, you progress. You take a bad decision, you go down. That's simple. That's about sport. Now, let me give you a few examples as to who are the people who have succeeded taking on the system. I'm not telling anyone to take on the system, but at the same time be aware. I'll just give you, without mentioning the names. One is about a under 14 player who was supposed to be leading a particular team, and the selector walks up to the parent and says that we are selecting your son, but you need to pay us something. And the parent just picks up the bag of the child and just walks away. The child did not play under 14 that year, which he was supposed to captain, but that child grew up to be one of the best batsmen in the world and went on to become Indian captain. Right? So now that father told the selector, if I have to pay money and play, my son would rather not play this sport. That is a boy who had this kind of ability. Now, the father knew my son has got that kind of ability. He will make it despite the selector. So that is what happened. So that is one example. The second example is another Indian bowler who went on to become the top 4-5 wicket takers in the world. He went into a camp, very reputed camp, organized by a very reputed body, and found that the accommodation and the food was not good. So this is, I'm talking about 17, 18, when he was 17, 18. He just opposed the whole thing and said that I'm not going to be a part of this if you're going to, treat me like this. They said that, get lost, we're throwing you out of the camp. And he was thrown out of the camp, and everyone thought that his career is over. Now what happened? He ended up, being the top wicket taker for the country. Not exactly the top, around the fourth, fifth wicket taker. So if you believe in these stories, that is the only way to make it big. There are so many people who have caught hold of the selectors, the secretaries, these coaches, and Max, what you do is just play this age group cricket. And let me take you back, the parent and the child. Why did you start the game? You started the game to become something big, because you saw somebody playing on the television, you saw your neighbor doing well, you saw the recognition, you found a lot of joy in playing this sport. Now all that you're finished by the time you reach 12, 13, 14. Because I want my son to play under 14, my son to play under 16. And is this what you started the game for? If that is it, then fine. But no, I don't think any child starts to play cricket represent under 14 or under 16. They want to play something big. And if you want to play something big, you better take the two examples I gave. That is the way to go forward. If you are not aligning, or if you don't think there is any value in these two examples, I think you are in the wrong profession. When I'm saying wrong profession, it is not even cricket. You are not made for sport, because sport is made of character at one level, character and your competence, of course, and your decision making. There are so many things, like I told you. That is the one which is required. Why do so many of these greats have gone on and played 100 test matches, 150 test matches? They've never taken shortcuts. Because they believed in the process, they believed their ability, they knew that we are good. Boss, you want to select me, you select me, otherwise leave me. And nobody had the guts to leave them. So obviously they went on to represent. There are some people who have just taken the shortcuts and just touch the rope and come back. That's all. You don't belong there more because you don't have the character to stay there. That's what I'm telling. I know this is a very crucial time of the Karnataka season at least. But I think it applies to all cricketers across India, across the world, and to all sports people playing different sport in wherever you're playing from. Trust your ability, trust your character. That's the only thing which will help you go forward.
Thank you, sir. So, what I can take from the message is very clear. There's no shortcuts. Trust the process, and it will take you for a long time. So, we've recently had a lot of overseas players visiting our academy, and one of the overseas players wanted to know from you is, why is the most players either make runs in a row or get out in a row?
Acha, it is a fantastic question, because somebody who's, got a hang of it, that is how sport goes. So probably the question would have been rightly put as, why do some people, sports people, or most people perform at a stretch and then fail also at a stretch?
There's a downfall.
There is a downfall also. There is a pattern. When they're going up also, there's a pattern. Why? There's a lovely question from whoever has asked that. I would say two things. See, there is physical, technical, tactical, and psychological. These are the four pillars which most sports run on. So when you are in good form, which none of us give a thought towards it, when all these four boxes are ticked, we don't give much value to it. When we are going through the downslide is when we start thinking that, is my technique something going wrong? Is something wrong with my psychological ability? Is something wrong in my physical ability? Or tactically am I taking wrong decisions? Everything starts coming into the system, and subconsciously you feel lower and lower, and you start feeling that, did I deserve to be here? Was I good enough, or was I lucky to be here? Some great performances I've had, but was it that I didn't deserve it? I was just lucky. Now the second thing is, and these are all interconnected. So, if you're physically low, it affects your concentration, it affects your decision making, it affects your handling pressure, and finally your confidence goes low. Or it is the other way. When it is the other way, if psychologically you're low, it affects your physical, working out and all those things. And indirectly, it will affect your decision making and so many things. So now, when you're doing well, it is again all these things are falling in place. So that is why a lot of work I see the cricketers doing on their physical ability. You have a lot of strength and conditioning people who are doing a good job. They help you out. There are a lot of coaches who help you out technically. There are a lot of people around where the knowledge is shared now thanks to the social media. There's a lot of input as decision making you do get. But then the psychological front, which I think is a little natural or a little in depth, because there are two things. I'll just give you a small example. If there is a tiger running at you, coming at you, there you have two options. One is freeze or one is flee. So when you freeze, you stand and fight it out, or you run. So this character, whether you are playing a pressure match, this will come out. So what is it that inbuilt? Yes, the psychologists, the sports psychologists give you a lot of tools, but then deep inside, this is what you've got to work on. So if you have decided that you're going to play a Brett Lee or a Shoaib Akhtar or going to bowl at a Andre Russell or a Narayan, you got to have these things right. If you have this right, which this applies to the previous question also, then you're in the right way of going forward without taking shortcuts. So now coming to when this, because I really like this question, is to give an example of Virat Kohli, who went I think 70 innings without 100. So despite that, he's such a great athlete. His body language didn't drop. Why? Because inside he knew he had his ability. For various reasons, he might not have done well that particular season or that particular patch. After that, he came back. What he's good at, he showed the entire world what is capable of. So that now what happened here? How did that 70 innings without 100 suddenly became another big patch of big scores? It is because of the confidence that a player had in himself, the concentration, ability to concentrate, the physical ability which we didn't see a little bit of his body language going down. You see the body language of players like Viv Richards or Virat. No, it is not. I'm not just saying that it's just putting your chest out. It is just about see the body language of Narayan in this last IPL. He was one of the top performers, and if you see, it's like a quiet thing. Where now body language is construed by the youngsters that putting your chest out, but inside they're panicking. So that's not what I'm talking. So it is that feeling within that I am the best. I will deliver when my best is required. I am able to deliver my basics when the most is expected from me. This is again a John Wooden statement. A champion is one who delivers the basics when it is most required. That's all. So that ability. Now, how will that ability you reach to that stage? It is about how do you build that confidence. There are many sources for a player to get confidence, like the previous scores, then the conditions which he is playing, the opponent which he is playing, or the venue which he is playing, or he or she is playing. So these are all the sources for your confidence. But for me, as a coach who's been in this business for a long time, I feel any player who feels that he is practiced well, I have everything under my belt, I have everything under my control because I've practiced so well. Now, practicing well is not just number of hours. So that is what I keep telling.
I think it's all the boxes which are ticked.
Exactly. What are the boxes to be ticked? So I have to tell myself. So people who say that, confidence because I've scored 200 last game, I've taken 6 wickets, but then it doesn't mean that it's going to reflect in your next match performance. It is one of the sources of concentration. But for me, an advice to all these younger players as to how to develop concentration or how to maintain this form which is good for a longer time. You lose form maybe for a smallest reason. Maybe you just lost rhythm. Well, for small reasons you lose, but by the time you figure out what it is, there's a series of flops. So that is what, how quickly, that is where the value of a good coach comes in. A good coach will immediately say that there is technically something going wrong. Your thinking, which was last year like this, is not the same now. Or your physical ability, you're not spending enough time. Or tactically, I don't think that is the way you got to go about on these conditions. So if a coach who is a well-versed coach, who knows the athlete well, that is when your confidence is there and you take it forward. So that is why I insist that people now, how do good coaches are viewed? How close are you to the selectors? How close you are to the association? Which club you're running? And those club secretaries, ordinary club secretaries, are going to the extent of saying that, I'm going to finish off your career. And these kind of schemas are in the system. So I think these are the guys which the parent and the player should be careful of. So this is what I'm talking. And to sum it up, it is how quickly you realize that you're in great form, relevant to this second question, and how quickly you realize that there is something going on, either within as a player or as a coach, somebody who knows you. How quickly you deal with it is how long you can take your form and getting big scores or getting good bowling performances, or how quickly you can come back if there is something going wrong. I think this is what I hope I've.
The message is very clear to the parents and the player.
Thank you. So now initially I was only talking to the parents. Now I would like the players also to send in some questions like this. So I know across the country there are a lot of players who are having the psychological issues, how to deal with concentration, how to handle pressure, decision making, goal setting, motivation. When you have these kind of issues, please do get in touch with us. I will be happy to share my experience with all these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and please do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The first of every month, we are back with the Dean's episode. Thank you.